I am happy to present to you Mr. and Mrs. Flood.
They're very good together. Both of them are very well motivated, where they want to go in life, and that's nice to see.
It was just surreal, but also extremely exciting. It was just amazing to see him so in love.
I could see that they related to each other as two equals. I think she and Connor make a fine pair.
Looked like you could tell they were magically in love with each other and just enthralled to be in each other's presence that entire day, and that's what really stood out for me. I was like, they are the perfect couple.
What Morgan lacks, Connor has, and what Connor lacks, Morgan has.
They are pure comfort with each other.
All those memories, it goes so fast. Life just flies by.
I think to understand their relationship, you have to go back to their roots. Connor was always a very inquisitive child. He was always very interested in learning new things. He had lots of questions that he wanted answers to. He was quick to pick up on anything.
Connor was a really interesting little boy to watch grow up. He was his own individual. He had his own ways of doing things and very determined to succeed at things, very determined to understand things. So it was fun to watch him working his way to adulthood.
Oh, he was just interested in life in general. I don't think there was anything presented that didn't capture his attention. He just had to know how things worked or how to do them.
Connor had a mind of his own. If he had something, don't try to take it away from him, because you're not going to. That's it. It's mine, I'm keeping it.
I still remember to this day when we got him his glasses and how much that changed his world. From the things that he was still entertained by before glasses, the way that he reacted to us, and then how a whole world opened up to him after the glasses came on and he could actually start to see. That was really interesting for a parent. I'm sure it was completely eye-opening to him.
I have a picture here where your mom and dad were holding him, and my mom and dad were in the picture as well, so it was kind of nice. I mean, that was their first great-grandson, which was exciting.
When he got a little bit older, he started into asking questions about everything. Most kids ask questions. Connor asked questions on top of questions on top of questions. It was just 100% inquisition all the time. And it's probably what's helped him with the kind of things that he does. He always wants a logical answer to things. He always wants to follow through on something and get to the real reason that's going on. He had an analytical mind even as a kid, and I didn't see it at the time. I see it now.
Connor was very special. He was so cute with his little glasses, and he just loves learning, so everything was so interesting to him. He asked so many questions. He was just like a little sponge.
When we were expecting Alex, Connor was very excited to become a big brother. There's nearly 4 years in between the two of you, so he was very active and involved. When Alex was born, my dad, their grandpa, brought Connor to the hospital, and he came right into the same room where we all were with the grandparents, and he wanted to hold Alex, and he sat in the rocking chair and started to rock Alex back and forth, and then just out of nowhere he started singing the ABCs. It was just so cute. Everybody was quiet and listening to him sing to Alex.
I'm just staring at him.
Mm-hmm. Copying it off.
I'm in the no P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now we heard one ABC, that's someone to sing with me.
Oh, that was sweet, Connor.
So nice to sing a song to your baby.
He was going to sing favorite songs to him.
Favorite songs to him.
I remember when he was a little guy, and you don't know what children are listening to when they're around you. But something happened here one day, and Connor got all excited, and all of a sudden, he said, "Great balls of fire!" And he just brought the house down because it was one of Grandpa's sayings. And we didn't even realize that he'd picked up on it, but didn't hesitate to use it. Do you remember?
One day, Connor had a pair of splash pants on, and I said to him, "Oh, Connor, you can hang your splash pants up in the coat room." So he was very cooperative and would do anything that I said. So he went out in the hall, and the next thing I know, he's walking in the classroom in his underwear. So I said, "Oh, Connor, I didn't know those were your pants that you were wearing today." So just his compliance, how cooperative he was, is Connor. He would do things, even taking his pants off at school.
When Connor was about 4, his dad was teaching an English class, and it was Shakespeare that he was teaching, a play in Shakespeare where he had asked the students to memorize a particular spot in the play, and they weren't doing it. They either were being too lazy, couldn't do it. Anyway, Glenn was getting very frustrated with his students for not doing this assignment, so he said, "I'm just going to get my kid to do it, show them how easy this really is."
So with the reluctance of a few of the grade 10 general kids who wanted nothing to do with this, I thought it'd be really funny to bring Connor in to recite it, and that's exactly what we did. Connor marched right to the front of the class. He had just turned 4 years old, and I introduced the class. I said, "This is Connor, and he's memorized the Tomorrow and Tomorrow speech." And the kids were looking at me like I had 3 heads, like there's no way this 4-year-old did this. And then Connor just stood up there and just stood and delivered. And the looks on the faces of these kids, that some 4-year-old did this, and my EA was weeping.
Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, freaks in this petty pace, from day to day, to the white silver of the reported time, and all our yesterdays have waited for the way to death's death. Out, out, free candle, lights but a walking shadow. A poor player who stress and frets is hour upon this age, then is here no more. A tale told by idiots, both sound and theory, signifying nothing.
Very good. Think about.
Connor performed it countless times for friends and family over and over again. Everybody loved it.
Was standing on the counter over there, and all of his relatives from my side of the family were here for a Christmas party, plus a few others, so the place was crowded, and it just hushed, and nobody could believe it.
He was special right from age 3. We had a JK and SK class, so nothing held him back. He wanted to do everything that the older kids would do. Nothing stopped him, and he's so intelligent, so creative, so it does not surprise me in the least that he's done these exciting and amazing things.
He likes to plan things out in advance. He is also a kind and very compassionate person. I've never seen him deliberately do anything that was mean or spiteful to other people. But the thing is, when he focuses on something, he doesn't just give up on the thing he was focused on previously. He just keeps moving on. So he's become pretty adept on a number of fields. Certainly in the area of computers and anything connected to that, aviation, martial arts.
Just puts other people first, and always has, and is very, very aware of how other people are feeling and how they would feel if they were in his situation or he theirs. And that dictates a lot of his decision making.
Growing up, he was always interested in trying new things, lots of stuff. He started off actually in dance, and he loved it. He worked very hard at it. He even went away to the National Ballet School when he was only 9 years old. And that was quite an experience for all of us because he was gone for 4 weeks. When he was around 12, he decided that he was going to stop dancing because he wanted to try other things. And he went straight into martial arts. And from the beginning, he knew he wanted to get his black belt. So he worked extremely hard until he got his black belt. And he did get that partway through high school. He also very motivated with his academics. He was in the IB program and graduated near the top of his class in that. And even during the IB program, he was taking drum lessons. He was doing the Duke of Edinburgh program, and he got his bronze, silver, and gold doing that. And so, yeah, he was doing lots of stuff even through all of his high school. And one day, Connor came home, and I ask him all the time when he's in high school, who have you met? Who are your friends? Have you talked to any girls? And make sure you tell me if you're interested in a girl, because I want to know. And one day he did come home and he told me that he sits next to a girl and her name is Morgan.
Well, she was always a keener, and so she wanted to learn everything that I knew, which was maybe a little tough sometimes. But I treated both of them like boys, and so I'd have them in the garage, lay a row of nails down and start hitting with nails and teach them how to turn a wrench. And so when they grew up, they could do stuff.
She went through a period where she liked Vaseline. She Vaselined everything, coffee table, carpets, her sister. No matter what she could get her hands on, she loved the Vaseline. And then, the usual girl stuff. As she got older, she liked to play, dress up. She liked to paint her papa's face and toenails, and was always wanting tea parties and liked to have little spas on the kitchen table and little girl stuff. But she, anytime they went somewhere, if they were by themselves, especially Morgan, she'd always want to have somebody gave her something. She always made sure she had got something for her sister.
She was always very outgoing, and she could do anything that she put her mind to, and she was very determined. And she's she had her whole life figured out from when she was a kid of what she wanted to do and who she wanted to be. Growing up on the boat, it was just Morgan and I, and we'd always pretend that we were different people, and we would put on concerts on the deck when we were sailing, and our parents didn't know we were singing to our dolphin friends. And we'd build lots of forts on Batchewana Island, and her and our other friend Robbie, he actually took a poop in my fort, and Morgan thought that was hilarious, and I was just not for it. But yeah, it was just all I had. So
the way she is today was the way she was as a child. She was bubbly and happy. And, I still remember see her when I'd go pick her up from school, and a little thing, and she'd run down the hall and jump in your arms. She was that type of a child. Like, she showed her feelings, and she showed her love for the person, you know?
She was always putting on concerts, and we got, I think, her first karaoke machine was when she was 4 years old, and she had started singing, so something that she always liked to entertain. It was always putting on a concert. So that's something that they did quite frequently, especially, you know, after supper, especially when we were at her grandparents' house. It was concert time all the time after supper.
She was always very good at anything. So she, you know, pick up a guitar and learn how to play the guitar by herself, like, and do it in a weekend, you know, those kind of things. So like everything she did was really quick, and you know, we never got her tested but she'll tell you it's part of my genes. That's it.
When you'd go to her concerts and people would be leaving and they'd say, boy, she's going to be a singer. Because at a young age, she could get up on the stage and she could sing. I mean, you talk about competitions, but she went to one across the river, came in, I don't know, I think it was second or third in that competition, and they were all older. She has a very strong voice, very strong voice, so she has.
At 9 years old, she was singing Broken Wing by Martina McBride and belting out those high notes. And even 8 years old, doing karaoke contests at the Cambria Mall back for Bonsu. And, you know, she would get nervous. But yet, she got up on stage, she was like a natural. You would never know she was nervous. She was always very comfortable on stage. And, you know, she's like that today.
But I had the best day with you today. I'm 13 now and don't know how my friends could be so mean. I come home crying and you hold me close and grab the keys and we drive.
Even at a young age, she would come from school and she would do her work right away. Even though she had 2 weeks to do it, she would do it right away. Then it was done with. She was very motivated, and very young when she said she wanted to be a doctor. She was going to fix Papa's head.
When she was, it was in grade 6, she had this book of the human body, and there was this diagram and it had all the nerves and everything, and she was so fascinated with it. And that's when she decided she wanted to be a doctor. It was when she was in grade 6, and you know, she's always stuck to that. She's never changed or ventured off that trail. She wanted to be a doctor, and you know, she was determined she was going to be a doctor, and it didn't matter how she was going to get there, but she was going to be a doctor. So that's where she is today.
She was just studious. Like, she really liked to go to school. You know, we kind of taught them that they had to go and get a job to, you know, if they wanted something, they had to go work for it. You know, that kind of stuff. But when she was growing up, like, you know, she would come home crying if she didn't get like a 90 on a test, or, you know, if she didn't do very, very well, she was upset about it. So she would always study more and more. And, you know, she had a pretty good memory to begin with.
And what I remember the most is her voice, her beautiful voice, like huge singing voice, and just stage presence. And best memory is her in Greece. Because she was Rizzo, and she was amazing. Like, she begged to play that part, because I did not picture her as a Rizzo. But she proved me wrong, for sure, because she really got into that part, and the acting was pretty real. Pretty real.
Anything she puts her mind to, she's determined, and she's always been determined right from the get-go. And if she's going to do something, she's going to do it, and it's going to get done. I remember picking her up at Mustang, up at Cora, and they were loading the trailer for Mustang Sally, and she comes running to the car, and she's like, "Mom, that's the boy, that's Connor, that's the one I like." And it was funny because we did the university tour on the March break, and the whole time she's texting back and forth with him. Like, we were at my cousin Nancy's house, and she wasn't visiting with us. She was upstairs on her phone texting back and forth with Connor.
She was definitely a fun-loving, serious student at that point, and she made an impression. And we had a good time in Writer's Craft, mostly at the expense of the kids who were clearly there to earn a 5th credit. And it's not very often you get to be in on the joke with your students. It's probably not the most professional thing that I've done, but it made the course tolerable.
The first time I saw her, she was singing on stage, and I was very impressed. She was in, I think, grade 11 at Cora, and playing in the band called Mustang Sally. I was impressed with her voice, and I've heard her sing quite a few times since, and it's always impressive. Once I got to know her, I was also impressed with her as a person. She is, in some ways, she's very similar to Connor. They're both driven, they want to succeed, they want to accomplish things. She, too, is a very kind person and a caring person.
Morgan is what I've always said. She's a female version of Connor. They are so similar in so many ways. She has an incredible sense of humor. She's always making me laugh. The two of them together are just a comedy team. I've always known she wants to be a doctor, and she is working very, very hard to get there, to do that. And I know that she's going to achieve anything that she wants to.
I do remember Connor being very, very excited to spend time with Morgan, and they seemed to be a good match. And in that same year, they got together in Mustang Sally, and they had a blast doing that. So it was a treat for Mom and I to come and watch them in Mustang Sally when the two of them were dating at the time. And then you've got obviously a phenom and a voice that's leading the group, and then backing everything up. A pretty proud dad watching his kid play drums for this group.
It was probably at dinner, and my first impression was like, he's really handsome and he makes my sister really giddy. And then I also was wondering, wow, this man's pretty brave for coming over and touching my sister's leg under the table with my dad here, but okay. My favorite memory is when I told my grandma that Connor licks windows and has a serious problem. And that
he wears helmets every single time that he can lick the windows.
Yeah, that he licks windows, yeah.
And I fell for that. And I thought, oh my God, there must be something wrong with him. I'll have to read up on that. I was so glad when they told me that wasn't true, because I really thought, oh my God, he didn't seem the type to have anything mentally wrong with him. Yeah.
I remember meeting Connor the first time, and nice kid, and he's always been a good kid, so quick learner.
As soon as you met him, you can't help but like him. And I always told people, yeah, he's the kind of boy you want your daughter to marry. So back then we never knew that they'd actually get married, but no, we certainly liked him right from the get-go.
He was nice, that he was polite, he was respectful, and a lot of times you didn't see that in young people. But he was like that.
Awesome student. Just very, very pleasant personality. But, kind of he was always in the shadows, really. Nobody really paid attention to him, right? Because he was an okay drummer. But by grade 12, I would say that he actually could do a paradiddle. Like it was, and a flam. Those were the hardest things for him to do. And then eventually got the rock beat going, so we allowed him to play in the show in grade 11, I think, Grease, which, he did a pretty good job. It was better he was in the pit, though, because I can't imagine him on the stage.
When they first started dating, and of course they broke up, and I knew that somewhere down the line that they would be getting back together, because they were just suited for each other. Very much alike. They liked the same things, and there was a time where Morgan, when she got back with Connor at the end there, she was just a different person. She was happy. She was content, and it's really, you could tell that was it.
And they were going through so many different changes, going off to different universities and meeting new people. And so as hard as it was to see him go through that, it made sense at the time.
I know that Connor was sad when they broke up. I presume Morgan was too, somewhere along the line. And it seemed like they both knew there was something to each other in their relationship. It started when they were just mid-teens. And of course, that's going to break up somewhere along the line. That's what being a teenager is about.
I guess when Morgan did tell us, that's what I said. Are you sure? Because Connor's good. Or I could ask the question, can I still hang out with Connor? So when he came back here, it was like he never left. So that's because he always got along with us. So.
But she felt when she met Connor again, she felt, well, they had both grown up, you see. They were, she was only 17 when she went away to university, very young to be in a place and no family there. Had to be hard on her that age, 17. And I think when they both met up, he'd been away from home. Yeah, they grew up a lot and they knew what they wanted. I'm glad they found each other again,
So I actually cried at her graduation, but she doesn't know that because I was losing my sister that I didn't like, but I loved her. So I felt very lonely not having her at home. And even though we didn't get along very often in high school, it was still losing a part of myself when she went to school. So yeah, I missed stealing her clothes and annoying her and then taking her phone and texting her friends and Connor.
I think she was really innocent and open to the whole big city thing. I think Kingston was a huge change for her when she saw all these things that she didn't get to see in Sault Ste. Marie. So she was open to learning all these things, and it was a big exciting time for her, and she was just a really fun energy, and she was really sweet. Came to me when I was in a kind of not the best place in my life, and she kind of was a really good friend to me through it.
When you get in with Morgan, it's just a whole world of kindness and warmth and caring. I became addicted to hanging out with Morgan because it felt personally so good to be around her. And then pretty soon after, I got introduced to Connor, who just reminded me of home. That was my first impression. I've met Connors so many times growing up in Whitby, and to him, I felt like I knew so much about who he was. They are authentic people. You're getting what you get, and you know that they're telling the truth, and they tell you what they need, and they authentically care for you. It's just so fulfilling to have a relationship like that, because so many relationships aren't like that. There's no games. So it's really easy to love them because you know what's happening. You know what the situation is because they just tell you straight up.
In some ways, they remind me of Glenn and I. And I think that's because Glenn and I also started dating in high school when we were 17. Obviously, we've changed a lot since we were 17, and it's funny to see that Connor and Morgan are going through a similar progression. They're much different now than they were when they were 17 as well.
The thing that I think that they have in common is that they laugh both at and with each other, and that just makes everything that they do okay. I don't think that they could do anything that is so bad that they couldn't find humor in some part of it. Neither one of them is perfect, not by a long shot, even though everybody tells them that they're.
Well, they're not quite completing each other's sentences yet, but they're getting there. They have the same sense of humor. I would not be able to stand the pranks that they pull on each other, but they amuse both of them, so that's all right.
Especially, you see them when you FaceTime, they're always smiling. They're very happy together. When they're around here, they're joking around, and we won't go into what they're doing, the stories, but yeah, no, you can tell that they're very happy.
They're very joking with each other all the time, and it's not downing anybody or trying to get above anybody. They just love doing that between them.
I think that they just both value the same things, and I don't know what works between them, but whatever it is, it does, and they're literally perfect for each other.
They are different enough that they keep each other's interests piqued, and they're similar enough that they have things in common that they can do together. One thing I love is when I can see them making concessions for each other's differences in person, and it's the most adorable thing because you can tell they're making an effort to be accommodating and be there for the person they love. It's a little subtle things that they'll do, if Connor goes on a rant and Morgan just kind of smiles, and it's super cute because you can tell she's Connor, you should probably not go on this rant in her brain, but you can tell she loves him for it and wants him to be happy and continue with it.
Connor has always been very family focused and family oriented. He loves to have his family around, his extended family around, his grandparents, his uncles and aunts, and his cousins. Anytime we can have everybody together for Christmas or a holiday or birthday, he loves to be a part of that. He loves to visit with his grandparents. He'll call them, he'll visit when he's home. But yeah, family is very important to him.
I remember him coming over here with his mom and dad and sitting on the deck, and he handed us, I can't do it. He showed us the brochure for an Alaskan cruise. And I got all excited for him. I said, when are you going? He said, I'm not. And I said, what do you mean you're not? He said, you are, here. Oh my, that's terrible. It wasn't something that Charlie and I ever thought we'd be doing.
No. I'm not too fussy on airplanes to start with, so.
But it wasn't really, it wasn't on a bucket list of ours because it wasn't something we ever expected to do. But of course we have lots of friends and relatives who have done that sort of thing. But for having Connor to set that up, and he didn't miss anything. He did it as if this was going to be his trip, and he had every step of the way all planned, and we just had to just walk through it. It was most amazing. Then he wanted us to come out to California for a visit, and we decided that we could certainly afford to do that because we wanted to see what he'd achieved out there, to actually be hired by Facebook and be on his way using all the education that he had put in it so far. And he planned so many interesting things for us to do. When we were out there, it was Charlie's birthday. You know, he could have taken us out to dinner and that would have been lovely, but he wanted Grandpa to have spice cake, which was his birthday cake choice. So going out to California was another amazing trip just to be there with him.
They sure made sure that I saw all the things that I had known growing up, and they seemed to enjoy it just as much. And I mean, I never thought I'd go. I was there thinking 80 and I'm standing where I lived, you know? But she had said to me, it's a dream I always thought of, Gran, that you'd go back to Ireland with me. So how could you not refuse? And she made sure she took me to all the places that I remembered. Yeah, they were so good. So good. It was a lovely gift to give anyone, you know? But then, that's the kind of people they are. They get joy out of seeing somebody else happy. And that is nice to see that. I mean, and I'm saying young people because a lot of young people today don't think like that, you know? And here's two people who are the same, who family's very important to them. It's the next thing to them is the family. That is nice to see. Yeah, we're all very blessed that we have them.
Who's your favorite person? Who do you like more? Connor.
You like Connor more? What do you like about Connor?
That he picks me up once I see him. Makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I think I know why they like each other. Because, like, Auntie Goober thinks that Uncle Connor actually looks cute.
They're very private, you know, you never really saw them kiss too much before they were married. And you know, I'd see her now and she'd put her hand up at his cheek and stroke him. And things that she would do, and I'd think, yeah, it's all coming because they're married now. And this is her showing her affection more.
details of planning were amazing. I understand that Morgan did a tremendous amount of the planning involved with this. There were so many places where there could have been a mistake and it didn't happen. Everything just seemed to click. It was as close to you get to a perfect wedding as I've ever seen.
And they were so pleased with it. It was their baby. You put the whole thing together and then just watch it all unfold. So that was great.
Being able to walk down the aisle with Connor is a really special memory, because we both kind of chatted on the way down the aisle. Connor kept saying, "I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening." And I was trying not to cry.
I found the day just went by so fast, and you're trying to take it in. I didn't bring out my phone at all, and now I kind of wish David and I didn't even get a picture together, so by ourselves. So that was kind of the day just went so fast. But certainly seeing her and in her wedding dress and walking down the aisle, yeah, it was very, very emotional and very excited for her.
It was good that we both walked them down the aisle. That was kind of different.
I'm really, really happy with how the day went for them and for me, because I got through it in a way that I didn't ruin it. But mostly for them, because they both seemed so happy, and everything and everyone seemed to contribute to a perfect day.
It took me 2 seconds to write their ceremony. Because I knew that I was going to incorporate Taylor Swift. I knew that I was going to incorporate how long they've been together, and a lot of music and a lot of joy. There's just so many things that they represent. So I actually didn't feel like preparing. I just felt like I was writing a love letter to Morgan and Connor, which is easy.
The most insane thing that day was Connor's wedding vows, that he looked her dead in the face and recited his vows to her. That was crazy.
There is no one else I would rather spend every day with than you. You have so much to offer this world, and in return, I promise to offer you absolutely everything that a good husband can provide.
I was super honored to be in the wedding party. That meant a lot to me. Connor and Morgan have become family to me over the years. The day was magical, is what I'll say. There was a lot going on all the time, so it was hard to keep track of everything. I was just thoroughly impressed with how organized they were and how they knew how to do all the things. What stood out to me was how emotional I personally got just seeing them get married. I didn't think I would cry. I'm not usually a crier, but I did cry.
What do you remember the moment you saw Morgan in her dress for the first time?
Hard to believe. Hard to believe the little girl was getting married. And it was hard not having Chuck there, because he just thought the world of her. And he always kept saying, "I can't wait till you're a doctor," yeah.
I'm sure she's going to make an excellent doctor. She's intelligent. She's analytical. All the things you want in a person who's going to be trying to make an analysis of why you are feeling the way you're feeling and what's the best course of treatment for you. Connor, of course, he's already worked in an impressive number of places, and then working for Facebook and now working for Tesla, and all fairly high positions. I know that his own strength of character and determination to succeed, we're going to take him a long ways.
What a sweetheart, and I know he still probably is. And I'm just so proud to hear that he's married and so successful, and that sure makes a teacher happy to see their students as adults.
I know that they want to build. I know what some of their plans are for the future, but I also expect they have a huge bucket list once they've gotten their training, especially Morgan, once she has her degree and gets some practice in. They're still going to want to travel because it's an important part for them.
It's funny because she once told me that she would never do this to her kids, making them live out of town. And now she's going to be living next door, raising her kids someday. But once she's done medical school, the big thing will be getting their house built and then hopefully starting a family of their own. And, Morgan getting her business, practice set up, and whether it's, she joins the group health center or works at the hospital, time will tell, or she has a private practice. So just have to kind of wait and see, but it'll be kind of kind of neat to see. I keep bugging Connor that we're going to have a zip line to their house from our back steps to theirs, so we can just zip over.
I see Connor doing literally anything that he wants in his life, that he can set his mind to as far as jobs and anything that he wants. For Morgan, I hope that they move back home. I would really like to see that, just because I would like to be able to go and sit on my sister's couch and complain about my life to her.
They're going to do really well. They've got property. They can, build a house. They can do whatever they want to do. So, and that's going to be good. And they're both going to have successful careers. So.
I'm going to hope they move to where I am because I miss them. But no, I see them definitely like being probably back in the Sioux, kids, a car, house on the water, just kind of living the perfect life, being happy with each other, and maybe even a bedroom for me to visit.
It would be wonderful if down the road in a few years they decide to have children. That would be great. We cannot wait for that. It would be even more wonderful if they're here in the area when that happens, because I can't wait to be able to help out and babysit and do all that grandma stuff. But whatever they choose to do is 100% okay with me.
I think they will be fantastic as parents. They'll be a lot smarter than I was as a parent, because we grew up and we took a lot from our parents and listened to a lot of probably stuff around that we thought we had to pay attention because your kids had to be this way or that way. No. Something, you got to let your kids live. You got to let them breathe. You got to let them. And I think as grandparents, you realize that when you become a grandparent.
I hope she has one of each. I don't know how many they're going to have, but yeah, I think one of each would be nice. But I mean, if she has all girls and Michaela's got the boys, that's fine too.
I see 2 girls and 1 boy for them. I think it'll go girl, boy, girl.
I would definitely be okay with Floody as a name if that happened. Pervy Grandpa, maybe not so much, but we'll see.
If she had a boy or a girl, it would be a boy.
She's gonna have boys.
Like, only if it's a boy, she would have another boy. But if it's a girl, it's another girl.
So whatever the first one is, the rest are the same.
Well, we'll give them one of each and then wait about 8 years and have another mistake in there. And that's going to be a real little devil.
As long as they're healthy. That's all that really matters. So, and like I say, we had 2 girls. You treat them like boys, they're okay.
The best outcome would be a boy and a girl, I guess. And they will both make incredible parents.
Everything for them seems to be an adventure, including a bucket list that they have for NHL games all over the States. Like, everything is a game. Not a game that they're trying to win, but one that they just want to have fun while it's happening. I think that's such a cool way to look at a journey that you're taking together with someone.
It struck me as true that marriage isn't 50-50, it's 90-10 on each side. In other words, you pursue what you can do as an individual as well, but you have to be willing to give to the other side as well too, when it's reasonable. And if the other side treats you exactly the same way, you're going to have a great relationship. And you're both going to be able to develop as individuals and as a couple.